Welcome back to Scarlet and Maize. I'm Adam. This is Zach.
Hey.
Big week for Ohio State. CJ Stroud finally didn't struggle too much.
Okay.
Ohio State 77, Toledo 21.
Ohio State gave up some big plays against, I honestly think, a really talented quarterback. Watching him the way he moves around the pocket and throws on the run, he's a talented quarterback. I think he needs to get the heck out of Toledo and go to a Power 5 school. But they gave up a big play or two. They were missing a few DBs, but that's no excuse. Some issues that they need to fix against an inferior opponent, but these are the times to learn what you need to fix. So not anything I'm too worried about. Stroud looked as advertised with 5 incompletions and 5 touchdowns. Marvin Harrison has continued to be the best wide receiver in the country. I really like the Buckeyes moving forward, an explosive offense and an aggressive defense that both have room for improvement, and that's where you want to be right now.
Do you like Harrison better than Egbuka?
No, but I don't like.
You said
Egbuka.
He's the best in the country.
They're the 3 best wide receivers in the country. No wide receivers better than JSN, Marvin Harrison Jr. and Emeka Egbuka.
Okay.
Just kidding, kind of. Yeah, I really like moving forward. They've got lots of room for improvement still, though, and that's really where you want to be at this point. Look like a really good team, but still have things you can work on. I love seeing former 5-star wide receiver Julian Fleming, who's really struggled with a lot of injuries throughout his career, get involved and have 2 touchdowns. I mean, he looked good. One of the touchdowns, Stroud did say that was not intended for him. It was like along the sideline, and it was like 3 guys lined up along the sideline of the side of the end zone, and you could tell it wasn't going to the first guy. I don't know who it was. But then I think it was Egbuka or maybe Marvin Harrison coming across the back of the end zone, and Julian Fleming was in the middle just waiting there. And Julian Fleming Stroud put it only where Julian Fleming or whoever the wide receiver was in the back could get it. And I think that either of them would have scored a touchdown if Julian Fleming didn't grab it. And it would have been a great touchdown either way. Ohio State had 3 100-yard wide receivers, and 0 of them were Jackson Smith and Jigba. Pretty crazy. Toledo had the number 2 scoring defense in the country going into the game, giving up 5 points a game. Granted, it was against UMass and some FCS school. But after OSU put up 77 on them, they now rank 88th in the country in points per game. Ohio State had 763 yards against Toledo. Iowa has 653 total yards on the season through 3 games.
That's awesome. Good stat.
Super Marv, Marvin Harrison Jr., I like to call him Super Marv. Some other Ohio State faithfuls like to call him Super Marv too. He's just a freak. Has 4 receptions of 40 yards or more so far this season, leading the nation, which is the same number that Chris Olave had all of last season and 1 more than Garrett Wilson had all of last season. He's halfway to Jackson Smith and Jigba's season total through 3 games of 8. His total on the season. Marvin Harrison has 4 through 3 games. So he's halfway there. Denzel Burke has struggled. Hopefully he can get back to what he was last year in a shutdown corner, but he just does not look the same. I don't know if he's just in his own head or like he's there to make plays, and then sometimes it's just little stupid mistakes, and I don't know. I think he can get it together, though. I'm not really worried about Wisconsin with him, but
yeah. My takeaway was that Ohio State gave up 21 to a MAC quarterback. Before you say Daquan Finn is good, he threw for a whole 18 touchdowns all of last season and is averaging fewer yards per attempt, yards per game, and has a QBR of 11 points less than last season. And he already matched his interception total from last season.
Well,
I mean, there's only 2 interceptions, but
yeah, that's good.
I thought it was interesting.
I do actually think he's good.
Okay.
Like he made some incredible plays.
Sometimes it's like
him, like he's
who the defense you're playing against is, you know. But to be fair, he does look better than every quarterback Michigan has faced so far this year. But labeling him actually good seems like a stretch. To be honest, he's a good MAC quarterback.
He might be the best quarterback in the MAC.
Okay.
I don't know what other
it's
quarterbacks
the MAC.
have, but
I don't know. I'm mostly just giving you crap.
Yeah.
After the first drive, I was like, oh boy.
Yeah.
But then
Yeah, I wasn't worried about it.
Michigan 59, UConn 0. There wasn't really much to take away from this game except Cade McNamara getting hurt, which will only really matter if...
I missed that.
Yeah, he came in for 2 plays and got hurt. They said he'll be out a few weeks, and then a few days ago, Harbaugh said he wasn't sure
Weird.
how long he'll be out. But it'll only really matter if J.J. McCarthy now gets hurt. But one sequence that was just hilarious was in the first half. Michigan blocked a punt and then scored, and then UConn was about to punt again, and Michigan returned it for a touchdown, and they showed Jim Mora looking like he just made a huge mistake by taking the job. He looked miserable. A few good stats from this game. None are as good as your Iowa stat. But UConn quarterback Zion Turner threw 16 times for 17 yards, getting just over a yard per attempt.
I could do better than that.
I know. It was hilarious to see. He was 4 for 16. UConn got 6 first downs, while Michigan had 7 different quarterbacks complete a pass.
Why?
Blake Corum. Huh?
Why?
Why what?
Why do they have 7 different quarterbacks complete a pass?
Well, because Cade came in, got hurt, so then they started cycling through the walk-ons and freshmen, basically, and Alan Bowman from Texas Tech. Blake Corum had 5 rushing touchdowns in this game, which is the first time since November 27th, 2021, when Hassan Haskins ran for 5 touchdowns against Ohio State.
He had 71 rush yards. That's like the weirdest part of it.
That's because J.J. McCarthy had 3 different passes down to the 1-yard line.
Wow.
And then Corum ran it in.
So next couldn't get the job done.
I guess so. Last thing, on a day where Josh Gaddis' offense scored 9 points for Miami with no touchdowns, Miami fans were calling for his head. Michigan's game plan made me think of Speed in Space, which, was just funny to me. I'm not saying Josh Gaddis sucks. I'm not comparing A&M to UConn. But they just kept throwing it short to good matchups or run plays that seemed like they were trying to get Speed in Space, which is like Josh Gaddis kept talking about Speed in Space, and then his one good offensive year was like Harbaugh's offense. We've talked about that. Mm-hmm. But Gaddis put up 9 points, and everyone hates him.
Yeah.
That's all.
I mean, A&M does have a talented defense, to be fair.
That's fine. 9 points isn't good against anybody.
Well,
you have anything to add about the Michigan game?
9 points is good when it was what? Was it LSU or Alabama won in that
9-6.
9-6, yeah.
I wouldn't say it was good. It was just better than 6. Do you have any thoughts on the Michigan game?
No.
Fair. A couple of viewer questions. Penn State just destroyed Auburn at Auburn. Zach, is Penn State legit?
I don't know. Auburn's not good. They looked really good. Is Penn State better than last year? Heck yeah. Do they have a couple really good running backs? Yeah. Are they going to beat Ohio State? Probably not.
Yeah, I mean, Auburn is on par with Nebraska for me, so
yeah.
I don't know. They struggled with Purdue, who isn't looking good.
Yeah.
Despite me picking them to win the West. I've changed since.
Yeah.
Maybe Penn State is legit, but while they've played 2 Power 5 teams, it already seems more like a technicality than anything else. It doesn't look like they played 2 Power 5 teams, not because of what Penn State did to them, but because of what those 2 teams have done outside of that game also.
Yeah. Auburn was undefeated going into that game, but they didn't play it.
They're not good. They struggled in their wins even. From @Hez Trevino on Instagram, has MSU secondary gotten worse, or is Penix an undercover Heisman quarterback?
I think that it's a stupid question. It's a valid question, but it's stupid because it's no and it's no to both those, because MSU secondary cannot get worse than last year. Could it be just as bad? Maybe. We'll see. But could it get worse than last year?
They do have some injuries, so it could be.
I don't know.
They haven't really played. Like, Penix is pretty good. He's not a Heisman candidate, but they made him look like one.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Yeah, how about this? I think it's a great question, Because it's not a yes or no. You have to think about it, Zach.
I don't have to think about it. The answer is no.
Yeah, I feel like neither. But their secondary stayed exactly the same, and it's just still terrible. Penix torched Michigan State for sure and has them furiously scratching their heads. But don't worry, because Mel Tucker specializes in coaching DBs.
What? He's a horseshit coach, apparently. That's the quote, right?
According to himself.
Yeah.
Surely $95 million over 10 years wasn't only because they won one game twice. I don't know. We'll
Probably
see.
was. I have a question for you.
Okay.
Which is more baffling? The Iowa not going to the portal and getting a quarterback, or Michigan State not going into the portal to get defensive backs?
I think the answer is Tom Izzo not taking any transfers out of the portal when they have like 7 scholarship players moving into this year. Really, I wonder if Mel Tucker was like, I can coach him up, and then like he just can't.
Yeah, that's interesting.
But I would say Iowa, because that's
definitely
also baffling is Kirk Ferentz defending their quarterback after a couple of games. They scored 27 this week. That's great.
Yeah, against Nevada.
Yeah, picks updates. You did a little better than me.
I smashed the under on that Iowa-Nevada game. It was like 56 or something.
That's
like, what?
absurd. I was wrong picking Nevada to win, but whatever.
Yeah.
I went 10-3. You went 11-2. But game of the week, I got the extra point. I was closer on the spread, thanks to Michigan State trying to get defeated with dignity instead of getting blown out, and they put up some meaningless points late in the game. Not meaningless because it gave me an extra point in this little exercise.
It had some meaning.
Yeah. So thank you, Mel Tucker, for trying to make it look more respectable than it was.
Mm-hmm.
Big Ten takeaways. Do you have any?
My own thing is I'm excited to see Minnesota play against Michigan State. They're the first. I mean, I don't even know if you could say legit, but they're the first opponent that is on their schedule that they play that is a team. Is Michigan State. So it'll be interesting to see how they fare against them, to see if they were my favorite coming into the season to win the West, and they looked the part so far. I think this will be a good test to see if it's still the case.
Yeah.
If it's actually the case.
Michigan State had 220 yards of offense before Washington went full prevent in the fourth quarter, up 39-14. Then Michigan State put up 145 yards on their last 2 meaningless drives of the game to try yet again to add some dignity to their defeat. Coming up, you mentioned Michigan State has Minnesota, then they're at Maryland, who likes to pass, Ohio State, Wisconsin, and at Michigan. So those 5 teams make up the top 5 in the conference for passing efficiency so far this year. There is a real chance that Michigan State comes out on the other side of that stretch, sitting at 2-6, ending the year at Penn State. So they might be playing Penn State for bowl eligibility.
Oof.
That's fun for me. Rapid fire turd pile picks coming out of the Michigan State secondary.
I think Michigan State will beat Michigan again.
Okay. Maybe. Chattanooga at Illinois. Illinois. Central Michigan at Penn State. Penn State. Indiana at Cincinnati. Cincinnati. Iowa at Rutgers. 3-2 Iowa. Nice.
Rutgers.
Come on, Ferentz. Miami of Ohio at Northwestern. Northwestern is sitting in first place of the Big Ten West at 1-2 overall because of Scott Frost. So that's a great Big Ten West stat.
Yeah.
I got Northwestern.
Yeah. I hope they bounce back. It's Miami of Ohio, but is Miami of Ohio worse than whoever just beat Northwestern last week?
That's fair.
Probably not. But I still went with Northwestern here.
Yeah. Florida Atlantic at Purdue. Purdue. Dang. That's why it's the turd pile. There's one disagreement there. Varsity games. Minnesota at Michigan State. Minnesota. Wisconsin at Ohio State.
Yeah. Ohio State. Someone said in the group chat, which I didn't fact check this, that Wisconsin will be without 3 DBs. It might be a nightmare.
I don't think it would have mattered.
Yeah.
Even if Wisconsin was able to limit Ohio State, not because of Ohio State's defense entirely, I don't think Wisconsin would move the ball. I don't know. I'm just not a believer in
Braylon Allen,
Wisconsin. Okay. He's
better than
he's
Blake
no
Corum.
Hassan Haskins.
He's better than Hassan Haskins.
Okay. If that's true, you're going to have a long weekend.
He's better than Haskins.
I hope that he's better than Hassan Haskins, and I hope that he shows that he's better than Hassan Haskins on Saturday. Yeah, I got Ohio State. I just don't think Paul Chryst is a good coach, and I don't think Wisconsin's a good team.
Yeah.
Maryland at Michigan. Some people are saying it's Michigan's first test because it's the first Power 5 school. I think it's technically a Power 5 school.
Yeah.
I feel like I hear this every single year that Maryland is going to give Michigan a test, and they never, ever do.
They will this year. I'm just kidding. I don't think so.
Yeah, I think Talia is going to throw 3 interceptions.
Yeah, at least.
I think J.J. McCarthy is going to throw 4 touchdowns.
Maybe.
We'll see.
Blake Corum's going to run all of them in again.
Hey, I'd be fine with that too. Game of the week, Florida at Tennessee. We both said that we liked Anthony Richardson from Florida, who is now at 0 touchdowns and 4 interceptions through 3 games.
Yep.
I think Tennessee rolls. I'm going to say Tennessee 42, Florida 28.
Since Hendon Hooker was named the starter, he has thrown for 42 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. I think he is legit, and Richardson, like you said, is not as good as everyone thought after week 1. I think the Volunteers get it done at home, 38-24, and I'll be at the game.
Do you think that Joe Milton gets some playing time?
I don't care.
Okay. Things no one is talking about. Kent State ran 39 times for 3.8 yards per carry. Portland State ran 31 times for 2.6 yards per carry against Washington.
Wow.
Michigan State ran 29 times for 1.4 yards per carry. Kenneth Walker's not there.
Yeah.
You have one?
Yeah, so the Purdue-Syracuse game was absolutely bonkers in the fourth quarter. The score was 9-6 heading into the fourth quarter. 9-6.
Yeah.
That score up again. That's ironic. It ended with a last-second touchdown by Syracuse to win 32-29. That's a lot of points in one quarter. You could check. It might be the most ever. Not really. I'm just kidding. Cut that out. That is not the part no one was talking about. A lot of people were talking about that game. It was fun. With 51 seconds left, following a Purdue touchdown to take the lead, they had 2 15-yard penalties, resulting in them kicking off from their own 10-yard line. Purdue proceeded then to kick it deep, and Syracuse returned it to the 50-yard line. I, in that moment, was thinking, shouldn't they just kick it straight out of bounds so then Syracuse would get the ball at their own 35? But then I went and looked up. I checked. The penalty is you get 30 yards from where it's kicked. So Purdue made the right decision because Syracuse would have got the ball at Purdue's 40 if they would just kicked it out of bounds. Then Syracuse scored a touchdown with 7 seconds left. They're kicking the ball off because Purdue had 2 more 15-yard penalties from Purdue's 35-yard line. It was both kickoffs were one of the weirdest things I've ever seen in football.
The unraveling. The dude who scored the touchdown for Purdue is the one who got the taunting or whatever. And then I don't know if it was Brom or the special teams coach.
Yeah.
Because I've heard both things, but it doesn't matter. For your player to lose his composure like that and then a coach to do it. Oh, my gosh.
So Syracuse
what are you doing?
Proceeded to kick off from Purdue's 35-yard line just into the stands as far as they could kick it for a touchback, giving Purdue the ball at the 25-yard line. Here I am thinking, why wouldn't you kick an onside kick? Because it's got to go 10 yards, so at the most, Purdue has the ball at, where? The 25-yard line, and you have a chance to recover the ball and the game, and even if they, like, an onside kick could run some time off the clock. There's 7 seconds left. I just don't understand it. It seems like a no-brainer to me to just kick the onside kick there, and they kicked it almost out of the stadium if it wasn't a dome.
See, I feel like instead of an onside kick, they should have done like a squib onside. Basically, from the movie The Waterboy, when at the end of the movie they're doing an onside kick, and he sees a guy that like he pisses his pants or something, and he's like, "That's the guy."
Yeah.
Should have just kicked it as hard as he could toward one player in the front of the line.
Yeah.
It's
good strategy.
Thank you.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
That would have been better than just being like, here, you can have the ball at the 25 and nothing's going to happen here. Like, why not take advantage of being there? Like, I don't know, it just seemed kind of silly to me.
No, I agree. I was also surprised by one lateral on Purdue's last play.
Yeah, it was partly because all of a sudden Syracuse just swarmed that dude. He hesitated on the first lateral, and then he just couldn't throw the ball. He couldn't get rid of it.
Yeah, he panicked.
Yeah.
Tweet of the week.
My tweet of the week is from the Ohio podcast at the Ohio Pod. Maybe we could have him on our podcast sometime.
Sure.
I can't find anywhere in Ohio State history where the Buckeyes scored 5 rushing touchdowns in one game by 5 different runners. That was until this past Sunday. So cool. Blake Corum had 5 rushing touchdowns. Ohio State had 5 rushing touchdowns by 5 different guys. I feel like that's more impressive and pretty sweet.
Michigan played a harder team, but go ahead.
No, they did not. No, they did not.
No, they did not.
Yeah.
Okay. Mine, I apologize if anyone watching this is offended by some language, but this is too good to not use. From Unnecessary Roughness, an actual quote from Mel Tucker. You already said it. The resume is on the tape. Right now, I'm a horseshit football coach.
Yeah.
Mel Tucker, I said this last year. Mel Tucker is Michigan State's Brady Hoke. I said it last year. I still firmly believe it. Kenneth Walker was Mel Tucker's Denard Robinson, who single-handedly won Michigan some games in Hoke's first year. They won a BCS Bowl. Oh, that sounds familiar.
This last, BCS Bowl. Last big bowl that they've won.
Yeah, and it didn't matter at all. But
so you might say he's the most successful coach they've had in recent history.
I would not say that. But I'm glad Mel Tucker bought a mirror after Kenneth Walker left so he can see what he actually is. And I'm glad that Brady Hoke didn't have a fully guaranteed $95 million 10-year contract. It's just so good. It's hilarious that MSU fans said Harbaugh was overpaid. Who got paid less than this? Whatever. Enjoy him while you can. State fans, it seems like you might be forced to, regardless of what happens. Best case scenario.
So my football knowledge tells me they don't have a shot against Michigan this year. But I just have this feeling that Michigan State's going to beat Michigan again. It's going to be hilarious.
I mentioned this to you in a text that with Mark D'Antonio, if they lost a game like they lost on Saturday, it seemed like they would bunker down and focus on the Michigan game. I wonder what Mel Tucker's going to do. I also wonder if we're going to be able to tell whether he was prepping for these teams coming up or Michigan, because his secondary is so terrible, we might not be able to tell a difference. If Michigan State avoids a bowl game this year, I wonder how quick that quote becomes his John L. Smith self-slap moment. And MSU fans just hate him, but they're stuck with him because he has a fully guaranteed $95 million contract over 10 years. I don't know who this man's agent is, but he's better than Kirk Ferentz's. He has an amazing agent with his buyout. With that, we'll see you next week. Go Blue.
Go Buckeyes.